All right, so it is now my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter for today's session. So former pro athlete, former fitness business owner, cancer survivor, competitor, and leader. Get to know Sean and you'll understand why NPE is the organization fitness business owners around the world depend on to help them grow. Sean has guided NPE to the position of the acknowledged global leader in the field of business leadership, mentorship, and coaching in the fitness industry. By helping NPE clients systematize their businesses and maximize their opportunities, Sean has created an organization which walks the walk when it comes to performance. So it's my pleasure to welcome Sean Greeley. Please, everybody, give him a warm welcome if you can. Get your reactions and let's give him a round of applause. And over to you, Sean.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Excited to be with you all here today. Looks like we got a great group here of folks in different levels of management and startups and long time in industry and multiple facility ownership. So this will be a dynamic conversation around all these aspects that support growth. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get into it. And I would like this to be as interactive as possible. So we're going to leave the eyes on the chat here. Please post questions as you got them as we're talking through things today. And I will take questions and we're going to have some fun. So before we begin, I'd love for you to let me know in the chat, what's one question that you'd like to get more clarity around or walk away with more understanding at the end of the session today? So why did you attend and what are you hoping to learn more or about or gain more clarity about, or a question you'd like to walk away with more understanding on before we leave today? So please let me know in the chat. I want to just give you just a couple minutes to do that. And that's going to help inform how we can make this as dynamic and fun as possible for the people in the room today. So please take a moment and let me know on the chat what would be most helpful to you today. And please don't say, oh, I just want to listen to you talk, because something brought you in here to register for this. You know, there's a reason you're here and not watching Netflix, right? And so what is that for you? And what brought you in the room today? Please let me know on the chat. And okay, Michael just needs credits for CECs. Well, Michael, that doesn't hurt my feelings. I know you've got to get CECs, but hopefully there was something that intrigued you about this session as opposed to, you know, the one on CPR or something else going on in the room in the event this weekend. All right, so strategies to attract and retain members. Great. All right, that we'll certainly be speaking about that a bit today. And we can create some more space to talk about that even at the end. Okay, great. To increase my business. Okay, great. Marcella, thank you. Increase our leads and retention and closing rate. Our retention and closing rates are amazing, so really need leads. Okay, so you guys want a marketing workshop today. Should we just pivot and just do a marketing workshop? We can talk a bit about that. How to get clients starting from scratch. Okay, great. We'll talk about that for startup phase. Yeah, and I'm joking, but I'm also being sincere in that you know, there's a few things to discuss here today that we'll create some space for, and we'll have some fun with it. Okay, great. So what I'm going to talk about is when we speak about growing a business, this is actually pretty common. What a lot of people say, I want to grow my business and tell me how to get more clients. And usually businesses have been around a little while. They say, when we get them in the door, you know, they sign up and they stick around forever. They love us. I just need more leads. And that's often the perception of what we think is the problem and the solution to the problem. And I like to talk about kind of three levels of questions and what serves us. So I'm going to take 2 minutes and just share a lesson with you that hopefully is helpful to you and also inform the conversation to get the most out of the session today. So one is very tactical, right? I have this problem. I need leads. Tell me how to get leads. What's the step-by-step process I need to go get leads? And it sounds like we got several people that would love that solved today. Give me a 1 if that's something you'd like to walk away for. Like, I need leads and just tell me what I got to do to go get leads. If that's you, give me a 1 in the chat. Nobody else wants leads? Just one of you? Okay. All right. We got a few people that want some leads. All right, great. So that's kind of what we call a tactical question and a very tactical answer. Underneath that, though, is strategic questions. So a better question might be, or a way we could evolve that question would be, why am I not getting leads right now? And what's changed maybe in the market if I was getting leads before and now I'm not getting leads now? Why is that not working, right? Why is that system or process that I used to do not working today? And maybe it's I'm not working the process as well as I used to. The market shifted. You're going to have one kind of answer, and this is going to be strategic, right? So we go with tactics, step by step, strategies, like which direction am I going in? And then underneath that, which is generally also, which is the biggest thing that might be creating some problems for you and leading yourself more effectively right now and getting where you want to go, is awareness. So we have tactics, we have strategy, and then underneath is, hey, I'm not getting leads. This is why I think I'm not getting leads and what I think I need to do about it. What could I be missing here? And what am I not seeing or understanding that I need to look at differently to maybe understand what's happening and why it's happening? So tactics, strategy, awareness. And generally, if we ask tactical questions, we're going to get tactical answers, right? But I can tell you how to do a lot of things. It's like fitness, right? Do people really not know that they need to eat less, move more, and go to bed? No, pretty much everybody knows what they need to do, right? The problem is they're not doing it, and they're not asking questions of, why am I struggling to go to bed and to eat less food and to move my body, right? That's a better question on a strategy. And even underneath that is, why am I not able to organize? I'm a smart person. I know what I need to do. Why am I not able to get myself in a place that I can do this consistently and be effective, right? Awareness. And very often, it's the strategy and awareness that we need to dive into to make sure that we're focused on the right tactics. Otherwise, we're not going to get to where we want to go. The reason most people aren't where they want to be with their health fitness is not because they lack awareness around eating less and moving more, right? Other things are at play. So I want to submit that to you as an opportunity and things we're going to explore a little bit today and how to grow a business because there's more at play than just tactical step-by-step things I got to go do to generate leads that might be here for you to consider and might be opportunities for you to grow yourself and your teams and your facilities when you're in multi-location ownership more powerfully to lead success. Is that helpful to consider? Give me one if that makes sense in the chat, and give me a question if you have a question on that, because I think that will inform the conversation today a little more powerfully, helping you guys to walk out of here a better and more powerful leader than when you walked in the room. Okay, great. So let's now, with that understanding, we're going to get into some discussion. So this is my session on the 7-figure studio gym roadmap and how to grow from 10K a month to 100K a month. And really, we work with now everybody from startups to the largest brands doing hundreds of millions of dollars in the industry today around the world, privately owned companies, publicly owned companies. They're all clients or have been clients of NPE at one point in time. So what I'm going to speak to you about, I have a lot of high degree of confidence and data to back up what I'm going to be sharing to you as ways to grow. And essentially, when you're in fitness business leadership, you want a few things. You want to make sure that business has great clients that everybody loves working with, and you make sure that the business has good cash flow and profitability that allows us to stay in business, right? Because this needs to be a commercial enterprise, not a charity, to sustain. And then we want to make sure we have a great team that loves what they do and is passionate about the work. And you put all those things together, and you're going to have a great career. You're going to have a great run as a successful business that is healthy, smart, profitable, and making an impact in the world. And all those things allow us to keep doing this for many, many years and decades to come, which is the most important thing that we want to ensure, especially given the challenges the industry has been through the past 3 years. we saw a lot of businesses, go away and they're not coming back. And the ones that have survived and those that have survived and thrived during this time, they've been able to navigate the landscape because they've had these things in place and adjusted where they need to keep these things in place to allow sustainability. So that's what we're going to talk about. The challenge is that, business is hard. And even when you know what to do, you get faced with challenges that there is no playbook for. There is no, exact, like, just do this and everything gets figured out, right? We've got to really not just gain awareness, but we have to understand new strategies. We have to grow people and develop people to be effective in their roles. And all those things are tremendous amount of skill sets that take a lifetime of mastery to really be effective in and continue to be effective given the changing world we live in. And we really believe at MP that business education is the key to your success. Now and in the future, you've got to keep investing in your professional development. And we believe that every business needs a game plan to get to where they want to go. So, one of the big questions you should be spending time with now is thinking about where do you want to be in the next 12 months and what is your plan to get there? And do you have the right plan to get there? And how do we continue to put the right support around you that you need to be successful? And whatever it is you want to do, that's what everybody needs to navigate the waters. Our company, MP, we've been around since 2006. We've served over 50,000 fitness businesses in 96 countries. I have a global team. We're based in the US, in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, and Asia Pacific region. As Emily said, I'm joining you from Australia today. My wife is Australian, and we are based now here since the pandemic. But I was just back actually up in Toronto last month in the US for work. So we work with businesses all over the world. We've been listed 8 times on the Inc. 500, 5,000 list, which really just means, we practice what we preach and how we lead success and how we drive success for this industry, and lots of different models, lots of different types of group training, private training, online training, every different vertical you can imagine, and avatars and different models. You name it, we've done it in fitness and wellness, and we support entrepreneurs in these different businesses. And this is the roadmap we've developed, regardless of the types of clients you want to work with or the type of model of how you provide structure and monetize and provide services. This is what we lead, particularly in the boutique fitness studio space and gym space. This is what we call the 7-figure roadmap. And essentially are these stages. We define these by a couple things. We define them by revenue for boutique studio gym, and really of what is the stage name and what are the main markers, which I'm going to talk more about today. So those of you that are just in the startup phase right now and growing a new business, we really want to make sure that business opens profitably. And obviously, if you're in a virtual location, that's going to have less overhead and risk financially than a brick and mortar location. But that's also can be the challenge, is that we got to make sure we're making the right investments of capital and time, energy to really get that business growing and have it be a real business so that is sustainable long term. There's lots of things to do to open a business successfully, generating revenue, sign up members, right? And making sure that can sustain. The next step is around growth. And growth is really about starting to build a team. In fitness business service-based models, membership is a little different if it's a just pure membership-based model facility. But in anything with services, which is, the boutique space that I spend the most time in today, it's all about the team. It's a team sport. And you're generally usually, 1, 2, or a few hires away from having a really great business, or you're 1, 2, or 3 team members away from having a miserable quality of life in a business that fails. Really, people are the difference. You cannot do this all by yourself. You got to have the right people in the right seats to be effective. As we progress in the next stage, once you have a reasonable team in place and you have some systems to continue to build a team, it really is about developing leaders. And leaders we talked about key areas of responsibility so that all the problems don't roll up to you. When something goes wrong, people don't just run and ask you what to do. They know what to do. They know how to figure things out. They're empowered to do the different functions of the business. And we'll talk about that more today. But in management and finances and leadership and then offense and acquisition, which is what several of you ask questions around, is where do I go find leads and convert them prospects and sign them up as members and generate revenue for the business, right? That's the acquisition side. And then we have, as the business grows, people think the acquisition side is everything. The acquisition side is kind of most valid in the early stages of business. But as the business grows and as the more is base of membership and revenue and clients and members, it's all about retention. Retention is the game. It's actually worth a lot more to protect X amount of revenue in the business than it is to drive new business and new revenue that adds to the whole. So, and you need a really strong leader that can oversee delivery and retention and team and delivery and so on to drive renewals, positive reviews, referrals, all those things that help a business grow from the inside out. And if your business isn't growing from the inside out, then it's probably a pretty weak business and you're probably stuck and plateaued in growth. So we got to look at all those things and getting the right people in the right seats that are empowered to lead and own those areas of acquisition, of retention. And then obviously the quarterback or the coach on the sidelines who coordinates the offense and defense and helps it all work to be effective through the next stages of growth. Once we get through that, then we get into stage 4, which is scale, which is really what we're doing multi-unit. Depending on the model, we start to do a little bit of a second location, maybe a third in stage 3. But stage 4 is to really get into larger multi-unit groups. We're doing, 10, 20, 30, 100, 1,000, depending on the model and what is the growth model, whether these are company-owned stores, whether you've got minority owners, whether you're doing licensing or franchising. And we work with big brands and leaders in each of those different models, again, depending on what it is you want to do. And, we call it building the empire, right? Building something of significance that's going to make an impact in the world for many, many years to come and support a lot of other people, ownership, team members, clients, and really impact in the world. Now, at any one point, once you're in, there's only 3 ways out of business. And you've got to really understand that, which a lot of people don't take enough time to reflect on. We think of a business, we confuse a business with a job. And if you are in ownership of business, then there is 3 ways out of business ownership. One is you die. It happens. There's a circle of life. Sometimes, we die of old age. Sometimes we get hit by a bus, right? Lots of things can happen. And we want to make sure that when our life cycle ends on planet Earth today, there is a plan to transition the business and hopefully not a total mess that we're leaving our heirs to figure out in that transition. The second way the business transition is when you go out of business, right? And that means the business is no longer commercially viable. It's operating at a loss, and you've run out of capital. And if you've taken on debt financing or different things to support the business, there's no more of that, and it's done, right? So you wrap it up, and you're usually dealing with creditors and the government and things to close the doors officially on the business. And unfortunately, very sad, a lot of businesses had to close their doors during the last 3 years. And, that leaves a boo-boo, right, on your credit reports and all those things that can really be damaging financially to you for a few years to recover from and so on. We don't want that to happen to people. We want to help people prevent those issues. And then the third way out is you sell a business. And, unfortunately, most people in our industry don't really know how to sell a business or how to position the business for sale. And so they're selling for pennies on the dollar, right? They're selling like their equipment, like used equipment on Craigslist, and handing the keys over to the landlord if they rent their space, like, okay, my lease is over, just take it, and have nothing to show for their many, many years, in some cases, decades of hard work and building a business, because they've really just managed it as a job or as an income stream and not as a business and an asset. And if you want to not just have an income stream and a job, but if you want to build an asset, there's a lot of things we do to making sure your business is strong, it is stable, it has all the things that maximize the multiple and the valuation of the business, so that you can transition these businesses, which we help a lot of people do, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, or in the case of multi-unit, for millions of dollars, multi-million dollars, right, of value that's created. And then that capital can support retirement, can support your next adventure in entrepreneurial life or business, and all those things that go alongside. So sometimes the exit is planned, and we plan for that. That's best case scenario, and we do all the things. But at any one point, you can just kind of drop down and get on the escalator to the fast path to exit, given any of those things that happen in life. So what we want to help you, because you've joined this group today, is understand is what are the things that influence every one of these stages, and where are you now, and what do you need to understand to navigate this current stage of growth and get to the next stage of growth. So I know we asked you this at the beginning, but now you have some context to these stages 1, 2, 3, 4, or exit. Which stage are you in right now? Or are you leading? If you're in management and you have a leadership role and responsibility, which stage would your business be at today, given these markers and these revenue guidelines in revenue? Please let me know in the chat which best describes you or the business that you lead or manage today. Okay, Emily's stage 3. Kim is in stage 3. Great, thank you. We have Della's in open stage 1. Michael is in stage 1. Okay, great. All right, how about the rest of you? What stage are you in right now? Please let us know on the chat. All right, stage 0. All right, thinking about it, not committed yet to open, pre-open. Yep, and I will tell you, I talk to a lot of business owners in stage, 3 and 4 and 2, and they wish they could go back and have a better blueprint for how to do stage 0 and stage 1 over again, because they would have shortcut years and tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars off their learning curve, if they could go back and do it differently and have a better plan and vision than when they started. So, okay, Trisha's in 2 to 3. Okay, great. That's really helpful. So thank you, everybody. And we're going to unpack a little bit more today in the conversation. So, by the way, we do have some gifts for you. So this is, you can screenshot this with your phone if you like, or type in this QR code here. I'll put a little link on the chat. Some of what I'm going to talk about, if you'd like some more training and education on it, we have a gift for you here. And I'll put that link here. This is what we call our Fitness Business Growth Machine training. And it is a collection of 5 playbooks and some short videos that walk you through each one of these things of maximizing profit, finances, and understanding your cost structure and the money math of your business, growing your team, understanding a sales process, and generating leads with social media marketing and of local search, which is one of the biggest ways today. We help a lot of people really eliminate advertising altogether for their business by having good organic systems and good local search inbound marketing. So these are all things that are available to you. You can see the link in the chat. You just enter in your details, or you can scan the QR code here. You can download this and go through that, which will give you handouts and more from my session today. So check it out. I'm going to jump right into the conversation. So you told me a little about where you are now. I want you to, as we're talking through this, think about where do you want to go and what is your plan to get there? That's kind of the question we all have to answer and revisit this time of year, is thinking about where do we want to be in the next 12 months. And before we answer that, we have to understand where are we right now, right? Awareness is the most important thing, as we talked about, so I can make the right decisions on strategy and the right efforts and execution that's going to lead me to where I want to go. And then being clear on that roadmap and what are the things I need to go learn and invest in and understand, and my education and my strategies and my playbooks and my support around me to go be effective in getting to where I want to go. So let's talk about number one. We have a few people in pre-open or open, and let's talk about what that means, whether you're doing a brick and mortar location or virtual location. If you're doing it right, you're going to be doing the same things, and that you're planning a real business and taking it seriously. And I will tell you, we support a lot of people with actually running an online business today, an online services business. And I'll tell you, if you take it seriously, we have people that have been for many, many years, like let's say a trainer in a big box gym, and grinding from like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. starts every day to then, trying to work out and eat at lunchtime, to then doing the split shift at night, and have lived like a decade of that busy fitness professional life. And now through the shifts in the pandemic, through the growth in technology, through the acceptance of the market who wants to engage service professionals differently, and it's opened up incredible opportunity. We have just a brief story. We have one client who was a big box trainer for like 15 years at LA Fitness, or 24-hour fitness, sorry, 24-hour fitness in California, in Irvine, California. Gym permanently closed during the pandemic, as many big box facilities have. And he started online, worked with us, learned all the systems, launched it. He's now doing about $35,000 a month in revenue, and he works 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is an incredible change in life for someone who spent 10 years, 15 years doing 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. split shifts as a big box trainer. And that's from all the things. When you take it seriously, if you do want to build a virtual business, you put serious business systems in place and you treat it seriously as if you had hundreds of thousands of dollars of capital invested like in a brick and mortar location. So that's the potential of what's possible. We have, hundreds of those cases now around the world that we're supporting, and we've helped people produce six-figure incomes and multiple six-figure incomes with very little overhead and a higher quality of life for them and their families. So things that we think about here and what we call stage one is really around the goals are to follow your passion, right? You're in this industry because there's something that attracted you to it. It's the reason you're not in banking or financing or selling mortgages or cars or real estate, because we're passionate about the work we do in fitness. We're passionate about the work we do to make an impact in the lives of others. And we need to start to build a team around us to be successful. Building a business is a team sport. You can't do everything by yourself. That's when you have a solopreneur job or career as a trainer. But if you're going to build a studio or gym or a virtual studio or gym, you got to have a team. And then we really want to learn those foundational sales and marketing systems and strategies that allow us to open the business with a good client base that's going to not just sign up once, but be around for a long time to come. And that really gets down to sales and marketing strategies, skill sets, systems, offers, pre-sales, all the things that go into opening a facility, with good revenue. And if you have good revenue and you have good cost structure, then you have good profitability. That means that when you open, you have positive cash flow every month, which is what we all really need in business. If you open with negative cash flow, then you're just burning capital, and it'll be a matter of time before you've got to take on more debt to hopefully stay alive or do all the other things that come with businesses that are not profitable or cash flow positive. And unfortunately, a lot of businesses close. Majority of businesses, if you don't know already, it's the stat varies a little bit by a few factors around the world and by vertical, but within 5 years, 81% of small businesses fail, which is staggering statistic. Like says only a very small percent, 19% of people actually that open a business stay in business beyond year 5, right? So why is the failure rate so high? Well, the failure rate so high is because of these things. We don't have a plan to open profitably. We just think we like to do this, so let's go, right? We don't have the right team around us. We're trying to solve all the problems ourselves, which is impossible. You can't do it all by yourself. And we don't have enough customers, and we don't have the right customers, so we don't have revenue. If you don't have revenue, you're going to operate a loss, and then you're going to close the door. So these are the things that we've got to figure out. There's a lot to uncover. You got to actually learn a lot of things you probably don't know about today, right? You might know what it's like to deliver services, but all these areas of finance and project management and leadership and management and recruitment and sales and marketing and operations, all the things that go into, and legal, right? All things go into doing it correctly. Nobody just Googles it and really figures it out. You need some help to really learn all these things, right? And it's scary, big risk. You get it wrong, you're investing a significant amount of money and time, and we don't get back that time, we don't get back that money. And once it's gone, it's gone. We're at risk of losing more and really damaging ourselves financially for years if we don't make it. That's a risk we take on in business ownership. Yet there's also the glory, right? And the opportunity of if we figured out what's possible. Great financial success, a lot of flexibility and freedom, and the ability to make an impact on the world. And the biggest thing I'll share with you is where I see a lot of people go wrong here is they believe that they should be able to figure this out by themselves. And they really underestimate the amount of work involved, the amount of skills and systems they have to acquire, the amount of time and effort and energy it's going to take to learn and figure those things out. And so we start very underprepared, and they just never catch up. And that's why people go out of business, because we're just not able to figure out fast enough what needs to be done to be successful. So this is what we talk about as the plan to win, and what are the things that you need to do. And by the way, if you're in stage 2 or 3, this is helpful to be thinking back on and think, what would I do differently if I went back in time and figured these things out, in a better way? And what maybe are some skills that I got to go backtrack and strengthen right now to better inform where I am and progress and continue to progress, right? It's kind of like fitness. Like you're trying to keep, building weight in an exercise or movement, but you've got dysfunction in other areas. You got to back it up and fix those things before you can go forward again, right? Very similar in business. So being successful in opening business is really about understanding the business model and the plan for the business. And what does that mean? The business model really refers to what it sells, and how it generates revenue, right? Revenue is really everything. If you don't have revenue, there is no business. So revenue is where it starts. So we have to design products and service offerings for our customer base or market that wants it, and we got to make amazing. And then we got to manage what's called the cost of revenue. So what does it cost us to fulfill those things we sell? What does it cost us to acquire customers for those products and service offerings? And then what is left over? So when we look at revenue minus cost of revenue, we have what's called gross profit. And gross profit is a financial number, right? A dollar sign and a percentage. And what is left over from gross profit, then we pay our expenses. So things like our rent or utilities or other things beyond just the labor costs and the sales and marketing costs. And then what's left over from that, so revenue minus your cost of revenue is gross profit, minus your expenses is your operating profit. And then out of your operating profit is, taxes and so on, and that is your net profit. So all those things have to be in the plan, the financial plan for the business. That is the most important thing. And then you have to understand all the things that are going to really be put into the plan to influence ramping up revenue, sales and marketing, right? And then retaining revenue in membership, subscriptions and contracts, all that kind of stuff, and how it produces a profit, right? So whether you're the business owner operator or the investor, or you've got other investors, there has to be a plan of what investment capital I'm putting in, and when do I get it out? What is we call the investment horizon on that capital, right? I'm going to put 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000 in or more. How long is it going to take me to, number one, get profitable, so I'm break even, and number two, generate enough profits to get all that 300,000 back plus more back, right? And free cash flow and distributions. And then what is that asset worth at the end of the day, if and when I want to sell it? Is it going to, and how do I maximize that asset? So again, I'm not closing for pennies on the dollar, but I can sell it for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, right? So all of those things are in the model and the plan of the business. And if your plan or your model doesn't clearly answer those things or answer them well enough, then you've got to go back to the drawing board and find better answers to those questions. Number two, we got to choose our location, and we got to build out the facility. So a lot of things go into site selection of where should I put my business, and location can make or break a business. And you've got to be easy access to the customers. You got to have the right, type of space that has the right rents and cost structure and so on. And even in a virtual location, how do you think about this so you do it right and not just, kind of freewheel it on Zoom, right? I know, I think Della, you said you're doing a virtual business. Great. We just want to make sure this is the right structure and plan. You're thinking about it like a business, so that you can be successful with the business. And then a lot that goes into build out and brick and mortar, right? There's a lot of stuff in shifts in real estate market. There's a lot of things in build out right now, and permitting and more that can totally stuff you up, right? You can do everything right, and you can have things sitting with, a permitting or the county or someone has to come out and inspect the site more, that we have to manage to hit our open dates. Because if we don't open when we expect we're going to open, then you're generally losing people you've sold and pre-sales, and you're just paying costs, right? You're burning time and you're burning capital without operating revenue. So all those things go into choosing a location and building it out. Number three is about hiring the team. So again, that gets back to the business plans. What is the team I need? Who do I need in the business? At what roles? What type of compensation is appropriate for those roles? Where do I find those people? How do I hire the right people? How do I train those people, right, to actually run the business? And again, this is where often things get off track because we don't have the right team, we don't have the people trained in the right functions, and it's, there's a bit of chaos that always starts in opening a business, but we have to control and manage the chaos to ensure people can succeed. And that's our job as managers, as leaders and owners, to create that runway for them, and that's going to allow success for all parties. And lastly, we have to open and hit our sales and profitability goals, which this gets down to really having the right sales and marketing strategies, the right offer, the right branding, positioning, messaging, right? Strategy, tactics, all the stuff that goes into generating leads, prospects, sales, and revenue for your business. And we do that right, then we get to open this in a very comfortable place of already having good profitability and cash flow. And then we can continue to expand that market share and growth over the next 12 months and beyond. So these are the things you want to think about with opening a facility. Steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's obviously a lot more within these buckets, but these are the major areas you want to identify and have a plan for every one of these things. You can set up more success. And by the way, those of you that are thinking about, you're in that pre-open stage right now, or you're starting to plan to open your facility, please feel free to post questions. I'll get to them, and the download I shared as well will have a lot of information that can be supportive of this with you. Now, if we do it right, then here's what we get to enjoy, right? We get to enjoy good cash flow, good profitability. We get to have a great team in place that supports growing the operations and running the operations. And we have really now owning an asset that is producing positive cash flow and is building equity, is building value over time, which then eventually, with a successful exit, is producing wealth and significant capital, return on capital for what you've invested to get at this point. So those are all the things we want to see. But if we get stuck, if doesn't work out, we don't get all those things in place and have them working well together, then we can lose money. We lose the money we've invested. We lose the time we've invested. We potentially go out of business. Unfortunately, this is where most businesses die, is right here in this early stage. And we struggle with operations. We put in a lot of time, effort, energy. We end up working a huge amount of hours to try to save the business. And we're trying to do it often by ourselves because we don't have money and we don't have the right support around us. And this is where your dream, unfortunately, can turn into your worst nightmare. And this is, the risk we take on, and we got to be willing to do the work to figure it out and know that this is a possibility if we don't. So this is stage 1, and we want to see you guys get through this successfully. Now, we do that right, we get into stage 2. What is stage 2 about? Well, growth. We have a few of you in stage 2 here right now, which is great. So we're going to talk about this, and I'll tell you, this is really about building a strong team and growing to a profitable, predictable 30,000 plus a month. We like to say, particularly the boutique space. There's some variation by model, but that's usually a very comfortable place to where the business is starting to get in a healthy operating space for profitability. Some models you need a little more, but usually, OpEx all in, you're going to see profit at this level or just above this. So what are the goals? Well, we want to grow revenue. We want to have good profit. We want to have a great team that is running the business and working with you day to day. We want to create a good balance between your business and your personal life, because just because you are in business ownership or leadership or management doesn't mean this should consume you and your entire life and world at all times. Sometimes it takes a sacrifice, right, of more effort and time to work through this. But, I'll tell you the real thing here is the team. You are usually 1 or 2 or 3 hires away from either having a great quality of life and this business running very well and successfully, or this becoming a very difficult challenge that is all consuming in your energy and time. And when we're dealing with those things, it takes a lot from our health. It takes a lot from our relationships. I believe that everybody deserves to enjoy their life and have a good, successful business. But we have to put things in place. We have to upgrade, our operating systems, our team, our people, all those things to make this work. Generally, all starts with us and being vulnerable enough to say, okay, maybe I don't have this all figured out by myself, and maybe I need to get some support. And us being vulnerable and then seeking and getting some support is going to allow us to start to learn new things and grow in new areas that allows us to drive more success in our life, personally and professionally. So what are the challenges we're facing? Well, again, this is generally where we're working too many hours. We are trying to figure out how to find more leads, how to find more clients, right? I heard several of you mention that in the opening remarks, and we're struggling to build a team. If we're dealing with all those three things, they're very intense. Each one of those issues is intense, but put them all together, and now you got a real smoldering pile of fun to work through that we've got to figure out. And it's very natural to feel very overwhelmed. We're working very hard, yet we're not seeing the returns and the income we want for the energy and effort we're putting in. And what I often see is usually a big shift that needs to occur, especially in our space, is a lot of people kind of try to do this with just like a handful of contractors. Like, let me just have a handful of subcontractors, coaching classes, delivering sessions, and thinking that that's enough to get there. And while that might help with the labor of fulfillment of delivery of services, that doesn't cover all the aspects of managing the business, growing the business, and more that's required to be successful. So often I talk to a lot of business owners are kind of in this stage where they kind of, they have some help with delivering sessions and classes and services, but they're the one who's really understanding everything from trying to manage finances, trying to managing marketing, trying to drive sales, and trying to support retention and scheduling and ops and all the stuff that makes it really impossible, and you can't do it all by yourself. You need to start to build a team of people who are full-time, who are dedicated, who are able to contribute to other areas of the business. So again, all the problems don't roll up to you. So what are the things to do to figure out to navigate through this stage? Well, there's really three main keys we like to distill down and focus on if this is where you're at today. Number one is optimizing profit. And optimizing profit goes into a few things, but we really analyze the numbers and the data, what the data tells us of the story of the business. Generally, there's some changes to be made in what we're selling, what price we're selling it for, how we're pricing and packaging those services, what we're paying out in labor costs, what we're investing in marketing and sales costs to acquire it, what are the other expenses, and just reworking the money math of the existing business. This is kind of like re-engineering, right, the business and the plan of how the business produces operating profit and cash flow. That's the most important thing. You've got to first make sure the business is generating money and profitable from a cash flow perspective, and then second, you got to have a great team, right? And this is where we start to strengthen the team. We analyze the existing team you have. We start to get a vision of what the team needs to look like, and starting to build the people machines that we need to in attracting good talents, hiring great people, and then onboarding them, managing them, leading them to not only be successful in their role, but building leadership capacity for them to grow in their role to the next role. The strength of your team is really going to determine, number one, the success of the business and your quality of life. But number two, how far the business can ultimately grow. Because if you have amazing people who are powerful leaders who can go figure things out, generally there's no stopping you and your team in doing a lot of amazing things that provide great success for the world and great career paths for them and opportunity for them down the road. And then when you have the right money math working that's going to be as efficient as possible in generating profit, that's going to take a lot of pressure off, and we can see a plan to get there. We've got the right people who can go support driving the business and doing things. Then we make sure we've got the right strategy and tactics to go execute. And this is really about each of those areas with, even those of you that said, hey, just need leads. And when they come in, we can sell them and they stick around. Great. That's great. Usually we unpack a little bit more. There's maybe some more opportunity in one of those things. But this is a game of net client increase. So we do need marketing, we do need sales, and we do need great retention, but not just great retention. Retention should be supporting new client growth. You should be getting reviews, referrals, upgrading their programs and packages with you, and really extending client lifetime value and referring other people to business. And particularly in these service-based business models, if they're not growing well enough from the inside out, meaning you have a business that's been around a while, you've got existing clients and members, and that existing client base is not contributing significantly to growth of business, and there's areas to improve. Our client experience, our relationship, the results, the value we create for the people. I often hear from managers and leaders, I talk to my trainers about getting referrals, and they just don't do it. And I just need, how do I go get them to generate more referrals? And that's the problem. And they're like beating the trainers with a stick, like, go get more referrals. And the trainers are like, I don't know what to do. There's no referrals. They already gave me referrals. And it's really stuck. And we think, well, okay, we just need more leads. And people think leads. They think, well, I need digital ads and Facebook ads. And that's the play. When I figure that out, this is all going to be a rocket ship. None of which is really entirely the story or true, right? There's usually always more to the story and always more to figure out. So this is where I share with you around tactics, strategy, awareness. And so we have to be willing to not just say, well, this is the problem, how do I fix it? But dive into why is this problem occurring? And I have got the right strategy to fix the problem, and then the right tactic to go execute it. Or even better, what am I missing here? What am I not thinking about correctly? I'm not understanding the whole picture of what could be going on that's influencing these pieces, right, of the puzzle, and how I get them working better. Now, this is the very interesting game, because all of a sudden we start to change our awareness, we change our perspective, and we change our perspective, all of a sudden the same thing looks very, very different to us. And then we are able to chart ourselves a better course to break through. And that is where we start to see growth from where you've been stuck or where you've plateaued or where you declined to now getting strength and momentum and breaking through to having, best months ever. And one of the things we celebrate here all the time with our clients around the world is best months ever, best months ever, best months ever. And looking at all those things and what drives success. So let me just pause for a second and thinking of this, for those of you that are in business right now and have a stage 2 or 3 business, which of these areas do you think is the most powerful for you to look at and to revisit to improve? Is it optimize profit? Is it number 1? Is it strengthen team? Number 2? Is it increase clients? Number 3? Which of these is the most relevant for you? And giving the descriptions I've shared and the opportunity, what is coming up for you, and some awareness that might be opportunity to revisit and look at where things might be stuck or how you can get them working better. Love to hear from you on the chat. We've got a small group today. This will be helpful to understand how this is occurring to you as we're diving in. Okay, Della needs a team. Yes, Della, we do. We all need a team. Love that. And that is great awareness. All right, Kim, really looking at the increased clients piece. So again, there's all those factors that influence that, from the marketing side to the sales side to the delivery and retention and growing from the inside out. So that's great. Okay, so we get into these areas and as we start to improve these, what happens? Well, you start to see growth again. You're no longer plateaued, but we're now growing revenue. We're seeing net increases month over month in client base and revenue. We've got great support in the team to help us go at this thing and make it work. And the business is running successfully, and you have some more time for yourself. You can start to have a business and have a life, because there's a lot of sacrifice that's usually going into to get to this point. Now you get to step back a little bit and enjoy things for yourself outside of just being so focused on your business. Now, if we're stuck, if we're not able to work through the stage, what happens? Well, cash flow gets tight. The business usually has to take on a little bit of debt to pay bills or more. Or if we can't figure it out, eventually the business has to close its doors. And what else happens? Well, we keep grinding away. We're working both in and on the business while, unfortunately, our health and relationships suffer. And we can feel trapped due to a lack of profitability, without a strategy and plan to move forward. And we obviously don't want to see that happen to anyone here. You guys are here. We want to see you growing and learning the skills and the systems and pieces you need to figure this out and break through. So once we do, as we start working through that, what's next? Well, we get into what we call expand. This is where we're starting to really expand a business up to 7 figures, which is 83,000 a month, is a 7-figure run rate. More freedom, more impact, more profit in the business. Generally, when I talk to business at this stage, and I know we have a couple people here, this is now about developing leaders. So not just coaches and people who can fulfill classes and sessions, but really leaders who are owning key areas of responsibility. So they're owning delivery and retention and overseeing all the coaching and delivery staff. We're getting sales and marketing leaders who are owning acquisition and a pipeline and able to go sign people up every day, every week for the business. And then eventually a GM role who's able to come in and really coordinate those functions of offense and defense. It's kind of like sports, right? So like football, you've got the coach on the sidelines and you got the offense team, you got the defense team, and those are working together to produce the results needed to grow the business month over month. And we do that correctly, then we're increasing cash flow, we're increasing profit, we're increasing revenue month over month over month, and we get to enjoy the journey while making a bigger impact in the world. And this is where, again, it gets fun, it gets exciting, and all things start to come together from many, many years of hard work and sacrifice and effort it's taken to get here. Now, the challenges that we face is generally the business has plateaued at some point. And we're just kind of sitting at the same place. When we look back on like the last, 3, 6, 12, 18 months, we see there's been kind of flatline really in growth. No matter all the efforts and things we've done, it's still remained relatively stuck. That is a very common place. We've got to get, new systems and strategies and development of people and all those things to get this thing to break through. This is also very scary because as a leader, when the business hasn't been performing, our natural reaction is to lean in and try to control that tighter. And we're gonna, do like by will, make all the decisions and make it all happen to execute and drive success. But it just gets more challenging for you. And unfortunately, we are diminishing people then when we're behaving that way as leaders and managers, and now they're actually less engaged and driving less output for the business because now you're taking the responsibility on your shoulders, and it gets really frustrating because we're living kind of Groundhog Day and things not breaking through moving forward. Now, again, a big area of shift here I see is in the change in the perspective of leaders that think we can do it all. We think, and I can relate, I've grown through each of these stages in my business, in fitness businesses, and in my leadership of now thousands and thousands of people around the world in the industry, is that often we think we can do it all. We can lead strategy, we can lead operations, we can lead acquisition. We think we know it best and we can do it better because we've done it. But there's a place where you can't do all those things, and you really need to start to let go and empower the right people to understand what the outcome we're trying to create is, align on the strategy, but let them own the operational execution and let them figure out the details of how to make it happen. That's not easy to do. And it's where often, leaders get stuck, organizations get stuck because it requires a shift in our energy, right? Everything that's kind of got you up to this point of like really being really smart, really having a lot of like determination, will to drive it to here. Now that energy is what is the reason why you're stuck. And what's got you here, you're gonna have to shift your game plan, and you have to actually, the way to get next level is completely let go of all that stuff and let other people own those really intense responsibilities and processes and work and effort to produce the output. This is also where you see a lot of people, transition out because they can't transform themselves. And they don't know how to transform themselves. And so it's just really difficult for them, really difficult for the team. And then they end up leaving, or after they've churned through a lot of staff and really been not happy, they end up leaving the business, and someone else comes in who understands that shift that needs to occur, and they lead differently, and then the business grows again, right? So what we don't want to have do is you leave your own business. We want to help you transform yourself to be a different and more powerful leader that's going to operate from a new place to empower people and empower leaders to grow the business at this stage. So by the way, as I'm talking through this, give me a 1 on the chat if this is resonating with you, is you've either seen this occur in organizations you've been a part of, or you're recognizing even in yourself, maybe I can think about this a little differently. That's going to empower me and empower my team. And I don't have to do it all by myself. That's not required. And actually what's required is me to approach this differently. So give me a 1 if that's resonates on any level for you in the chat. Be helpful to understand. Okay, great. Thank you, Della. Good to see that you're recognizing an opportunity, and I would imagine others here are as well, even if you're not engaging on the chat right now. All right, so what are things we want to do? Well, things we need to make happen here is, number 1, really have to expand our vision. And organizations get stuck when leaders are not clear on the vision of what's required to grow the organization, and as well as they're not clear on their personal vision and how this all fits together to support their life. And when the business is stuck, it means the leaders are stuck. So this is where, unfortunately, we have to look in the mirror as leaders and say, yeah, I think I'm stuck. And I think I might need some to expand my vision a bit to have a better clarity of how I get from where I am to where I want to be, and how I can support my team, my organization, and getting from where we are to where we want to be. So that is step 1. There's a lot to do there. We talk about defining our values, our purpose, our mission, our 10-year, our 3-year long-term vision, and our short-term, our 1-year roadmap, and our 90-day roadmap, and really kind of connecting these frames as long-term, short-term, what we stand for, why it matters. All those things are really the proven frameworks and architecture that allow us to lead ourselves better and lead our organization team to more success. Then we get into building the leadership team. Again, this is all about not just having people to do work, but people who actually do work and solve problems, who actually support creating solutions at scale for your organization and figure things out as things change. They're not just sitting there waiting for a step-by-step process to go do, but they're actually able to go create those processes and evolve those processes and own areas of responsibility because they know different playbooks they can pull out and go use to go get the job done today. And then again, what are we doing? Always increasing clients, right? That's the name of the game. If we're selling services or membership, whatever it is we sell to a certain group of customers, we're always navigating who are those customers, how are we evolving our product, service offering, and innovating to make those really attractive and interesting and valuable, and then how do we sign people up and how do we keep them happy, keep them around and telling other people about us. So all those things are about increasing clients. And then number 4, what I call strengthening the business is that there are a number of things at any point that can kill you in business. It's kind of like Australia, right? There's kind of a number of things that you can just be walking down the road and kill you. I've learned this living in Australia, right? We've got spiders, we've got like Komodo dragons, we've got like crocodiles, we've got like these koalas look pretty, but they got claws and they could rip your face off. We got kangaroos who can, whack you with their tail and attack your car. It's kind of crazy, right? It's like everything you've seen on movies is true. Yet, like, kids are walking around and babies and, all this kind of stuff, right? So you need to know, I didn't even mention the sharks, the jellyfish, like all those things, right? There's everywhere you go, there's stuff that wants to kill you. And in business is kind of the same thing, right? Legal stuff, people stuff, ops things, marketing, sales, all these things, finance. There's things at any one point that all of a sudden surprise you. Now, a lot of this stuff should be known, but I can't tell you how many times I've talked to business owners who say like, oh, I didn't realize my taxes are due and this is my amount of taxes. And now I got this big tax bill and I didn't plan, oh my gosh, I'm going to go out of business because I owe taxes. Everybody knows, like if you make money, you have to pay taxes. And if you live in Ontario, you have to pay HST tax, not just, federal tax, right? And so it should not be a surprise, these things. We have scheduled dates, we have scheduled numbers. You should be having all these systems in place, right, that allow you to see these things coming before they happen and prevent them from occurring. And so very important. We like to go, we have an assessment process we do with everybody we work with. We every 90 days, we reassess the entire business over different areas of the business, and then we prioritize the work to be done. And this is an ongoing game of mastery to strengthen the business. Now, the great news is when you're doing this kind of work, you're not only fixing things and allow the business to grow, but more importantly, as you grow, you're mitigating risk because the more you grow, the more things that are out there that can kill you and hurt your business. And we want to make sure we're doing the work that's going to strengthen the business and multiply the valuation of the business. So if and when you ever want to exit the business, it is going to produce the best returns for you as an asset in sale. So these are all the things we look at to really drive success at this stage. Now, what does it look like? Well, we have leaders in place that are running the day-to-day operations of the business. We have revenue in a great place, doing 7 figures. We have great operating profits, and we're enjoying the journey while making a bigger impact in the lives of the people we get to serve, right? And this is where we're really creating a legacy. Now, hopefully your financial needs are reasonably met. You're probably not flying on a private jet, but I don't imagine that would be your vision if you're in this industry, right? You're comfortable flying on regular planes right out of the airport. And you get to just enjoy the journey and make an impact on the world. And that's really, I think, a beautiful thing and what it's all about for many of us in this space. Now, at any point, again, if you don't figure this out, what ends up happening is we end up turning a lot of staff over, so that every 6, 12 months, 18 months, we're having kind of a new people come into business. We're kind of turning over clients and members as well. We keep getting pulled back into operations and putting out fires every time, and that gets really exhausting and painful. And we can feel like now all of a sudden we're a real prisoner to the business, right? This is like you're so far in, you can't get out, and there's lots of stress, there's pressure, and we're not making or we're losing money. This is a very difficult place to be. Sometimes there's just unplanned economic forces at will, right? Like COVID and government closures and more, that put us in these circumstances where, through no fault of our own, this is just what is occurring right now. And we've got to work through this and not just manage it strategically and in the business, but manage ourselves emotionally, right? Mentally. Our mental health is definitely going to be impacted. And how do we put the right support around us to navigate this thing, to be able to self-regulate as effectively as possible, to work through what's in front of us right now. And not go, not lose our minds, right? It's real and it's serious and something we need to be talking about, surfacing, as opposed to leaving for people to figure out. I'm grateful that as difficult as COVID experience has been for all of us and for so many business owners, at least now you can see the stats that are coming out today is that consumers are more open to talking about mental health, emotional health. People looking at even hiring personal trainers in fitness. The reasons why, just even a study that came out last week, new reasons why people are buying fitness and hiring a personal trainer. It used to be about, I want to lose weight and look good in the mirror. Now they're saying, I want to feel better, emotionally and mentally. And the fact that this isn't a backroom conversation anymore, this is a front room conversation, is really, really important. Emily, I'm glad you're clapping it up. And I can tell you, just a personal story, it's affecting me at the moment. One of my best friends, he has a son who is 19, and he's been dealing with anxiety and depression and now suicidal thoughts and such. And this is becoming more and more common. Kids today, adults today, that are going through really difficult, dark times. And the fact that hopefully you're creating something in the world that not only is financially successful, but is giving people a vehicle to have purpose, have meaning to their life, to be able to make an impact on others. And the great thing about the work we do that's not like banking is we're actually making people's lives better every day when we sell and deliver our product and service offerings. That's the beauty of what the industry we're in, and why I couldn't imagine being another industry, because it's just so rewarding, meaningful, the impact we get to make in the world through the work we get to do. And when we do it better, we get to make a bigger impact in a lot of people's lives. So this means a lot to me personally, and I want to keep seeing all of you around for many, many years to come and making an impact in the world. So we do that, and we get into what's called the scale phase. And this is where we get to really build an empire, get to scale to multiple locations. We've helped a lot of people, start with one boot camp in the park, and today they have 100 franchises all over, the United States and Canada. We've helped people, go even well beyond that into, hundreds of locations, thousands of locations, and more. At this point, hopefully you've done it right. You've got a great team in place. You can evaluate what are those next steps to continue to grow. Do I want to do more locations? Do I want to do new revenue streams? Do I want to do licensing? Do I want to do franchising? What do all these things mean? and what is the right business model vehicle for me to continue to make an impact in the world. We get to really develop a leadership team that can scale the business with you and create career opportunities for people so they're around for a long time to come. Now, challenges we face, I get to talk to a lot of entrepreneurs at this level often, and they just aren't sure what are the next steps. They're trying to figure out what this looks like to go build something here. They're excited to learn more strategies. They generally have a pretty good quality of life at this point. And now it's just about, really having fun and doing things they love to do with their skill set and their passion. And they need support to navigate the next steps. So very similar things we do to continue to grow here is the same thing. We've kind of achieved usually the vision that we once had. And now we got to go figure out what's the next vision, right? It's like, once you figure this out, like you got to reimagine a different world and what could that look like and what is possible and what are the options and choices I have to continue to grow and impact the world with business. And then from there, really set the right strategy for the business and have the right leaders in place that can grow the business with you. Then get into all the things. Again, we're always increasing clients. Every business needs revenue, and revenue is about selling product and service offerings and retaining those people, right? And then always strengthen the business because, again, the more you grow, the more you have to mitigate risk. And defense is more important than offense as you continue to grow. So we want to continue to understand that, what's at play, and how we make that successful. So when we do this right, what happens? Well, we have a good strategy for scaling the business model. You have a leadership team that's empowered to scale the business with you, and you open new locations and you get to positively impact more lives. If we're not successful, then we get back into churning people and we're working a lot, and there's a lot of pressure, and the business just kind of isn't producing what it could. That's a real shame. So now at any one of these points, you guys may decide to exit, or exit may be forced upon you or your heirs, your family, if something happens to you, unfortunately. So it does happen. We got to plan for this, not be surprised that, there should be a plan in place. Business, has financial responsibility and liability, and you want to make sure that there's a plan for the people and for the business. So what does exit look like? Well, hopefully you're positioning the business for a strong exit. You're maximizing the value of the asset you've built and the returns on that asset, and that you're successfully transitioning to new ownership, helping them take this thing and carry it on, and you're getting ready for the next stage. What are the challenges? Well, unfortunately, in our industry, most people don't, unless they come out of the franchise world. The franchise world, has a lot of people that buy as investors into these models and businesses, and they kind of understand and think like, I put capital in, and when do I get capital out? How much? And they're starting to think like investors, but a lot of operators don't think like investors, and they don't even have the kind of vocabulary and understanding to navigate this world. And therefore, they don't know how to position the business for sale and exit. And then it's really scary because this is your work, and this is kind of your identity. And what if I get it wrong? And if I sell for the wrong time and the wrong price, and when should I sell? And we don't really understand how to position the business, the value of the business, and for an exit, and get it ready for sale, kind of package it up. And this is something we actually take people step by step to do an assessment of their business and preparing for exit and looking at what is the plan to make this better. We organize the business for sale. So a lot of things we do to prepare for sale. We want to, usually take time. It's kind of like, I'm going to plan to sell my house. Well, I don't just put it on the market tomorrow, right? I kind of look at the house and I have like a little bit of inspection, and like I got to fix this broken pipe, and I got to paint this, and things that I got to do to make sure the asset is looking good and pretty and healthy, and I can get the most out of selling my home, right? Well, your business is kind of the same thing. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, right? And we want to maximize the valuation. We want to get it ready, which might take 3, 6, 12 months, especially if we've got to go put a stronger team in place that's going to carry the business on once we're not in owner-operator role. We also got to market the business, list it for sale. There's different types of ownership groups. You can sell to a private owner. You can sell to a staff member matched with an investor. You can sell to larger groups. You can sell to a competitor. All kinds of options you have in marketing the business, and we got to understand those buyers and where to get in front of them. And then obviously we sell the business and we transition it to new owners. and helping them and their team carry the business forward. Hopefully, you want to see it be successful because you put a lot of effort into this, right? You want to see it in a good place. So this is what it looks like. And again, it's an area of growth to really kind of understand and put you in a good place to master. If we do this right, we successfully exit the business for maximum returns, support new ownership during the transition, and you hit the ground running on the next chapter of your business and life. Whether that means you want to go do a new business, another business, you want to just take some time off and enjoy a year or two of just some freedom and retirement. Again, all dependent on a number of factors for you, and that varies for every individual. But what we don't want to see happen is, unfortunately, people that don't understand how to do this, they end up just, turning in the keys to the lease and putting the equipment for sale on Craigslist. And some guys coming by to U-Haul and, giving you a few bucks cash and taking the stuff away. Right. And that's just a shame. We don't want to see that happen for all the effort, time, and years and decades sometimes that are put into building, developing the business. We don't want to see you exit for no returns. And we want to make sure that, you're not forced in a position where you have to close the doors and file bankruptcy because you haven't even if you do have to, file, how do you do that properly, and how do you protect yourself the best you can in that transition? There's lots of things that people just don't understand, and they make just even exit. You need a plan. Exit on your terms or exit because you're forced to close. You need a plan. You got to put the plan in place to protect yourself. So that is everything we talked about, the roadmap of startup through stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and exit of a business. And I think the big question now, we're in a great time of year of kind of annual reflection and reviews to think about, where are you now? Where do you want to go this year? Where do you want to be in the next 3 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And what do you need to start thinking about and getting in place to get yourself moving, unstuck and moving and on the right track? And when you're on the right track, how do you accelerate that timeline and enjoy the journey, right? All these things are going to come into play for you along the way. So we like to talk about the questions, that we need to lead ourselves, right? Talk about that in the intro today. And that really is around, for business at every stage, these things. So you need to understand, where will you find high quality leads and prospects? Many of you asked that question on the way in the door today. That is about marketing. How do you sign up and prospects and client? How do you engage the prospects and sign up the clients, right? That is about sales. And what do you sell them and for how much and what should be structured at, right? How do you deliver great value and retain people? That is all around operations. How do you maximize the operating profit? What are the right cost structures and things in place that support the business financially, and seeing and managing those financial KPIs to make good business decisions? How do you build and develop an amazing team? This is a people business, right? We're in services. We're not talking about widgets. So we have to have great people to do the work and enjoy this thing. And people are going to either make it really fun, or you're going to be really miserable because you don't have the right people and those people aren't working well together. And then lastly, how do you protect your business, and how do you protect yourself personally and financially? I can't tell you how many business owners still have like commingled, finances and legal structures and set up properly, and things that are really dangerous for you, that we want to make sure you are in a good place on. So these are the things that we talk about, and we essentially, what we do as a company, we just help people find better answers to these questions, really, right? So we talked about what are the right questions and how do you find better answers. That is the journey and what entrepreneurship and business ownership is all about. And this is our framework we talk about to do that. We call it the NP6 business growth levers. And each one of these 6 things: marketing, sales, operations, finance, people, legal. This is our process of how we help people take a look at these things. We always assess, don't guess, right? Much like in fitness, we assess, don't guess. And then how do we help prioritize the things to be done? Because there's always going to be more to do than you could possibly do today. So it's not about getting everything done. It's about understanding the right things to do in the right order, and just constantly prioritizing to execute those things that are going to move the needle today. And then lastly, how can you actually push it forward efficiently? And for many of you, it's not about you pushing it forward. It's about getting the right people in place and empowering them for them to push the ball forward, right? And so that is around leadership and execution, as well as people. All those things are going to drive execution in this business. So you do those things right, you're going to have more money in the business. You're going to have more freedom. You're going to make a great impact in the world. and what it's all about. So these are just some examples of people we've helped over the last, even the last year during the, recovery post-pandemic. We work with clients in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in the UK, all over the world. We've helped many people, including even Ottawa. Ottawa is one of the most locked down places in the world during the pandemic. This is one of our clients. We actually met her at CanFit Pro. Kate Laird is her name. Started at 10K a month. She's now doing 60. She just did, I think, 68K last month, best month ever again, which is great. Again, through the pandemic, she's got now an amazing facility. She's opened up in downtown Ottawa, right next to the fancy shops, Lululemon and all that kind of things. And she has an online business and an offline business that all contribute serving young moms and women, which is just amazing. And actually, really interesting story on marketing. A huge part of their customer base is men, but they don't market to men. They market to moms. And what happens? Mom signs up, and then she says, "I got to get my husband into this thing." And then she gets the husband to come in and meet with them, and then the husbands end up buying more. A lot of the women train in the groups, and the men end up buying these like $1,000 personal training packages. And so if you look at their P&L, a bigger amount of revenue comes from men buying personal training, where the women are doing group training. So really interesting. A lot of people would think, oh, like if that's the main revenue, like let's put a marketing plan together to go find men. Nope. The marketing plan is bringing the moms, and the moms bring in the dads. And that's how the business grows. So there's some really interesting strategy things we look at with sales and marketing and acquisition, retention, and upsells and lifetime value and more to drive success. Again, I'm down in the Gold Coast, Australia today. We just had a great event. Yesterday, we had top 20 of our studio gym owners in the region come together for a couple of days. We got to meet with them. We got to help them plan for next year. We did all this kind of work, and we've helped a lot of people transition their model and evolve their model. We're seeing a big shift in the market from group model, like group hit models, now evolving to be more personalized programming, higher price point offerings, small group, semi-private, that kind of stuff. The blend of online and offline services, deliverables, and revenue streams, and all kinds of things that support people with every type of model, with different markets and more. So this is all part of what's possible. These were two clients we also met at CanFit Pro in Vancouver. Came in at 18,000 a month, grew it to 43,000 a month. They just sold the business. Now transitioned to kind of the next thing that they want to go do. Again, wherever you're at today, you start to understand these things, you start to put a better plan in place, and this is what's possible, which is really amazing. We've seen people grow, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x in, 6, 12, 18, 24, 36 months. That's what's possible. So what I want to leave you guys with today, is really just a summary in that, whether you're in the opening stage, the growing, expanding, scaling, or exiting, this is a journey, and this is going to be a journey you're going to be on for many, many years to come. And, understand that like any journey, there's going to be times when it's easy, times and fun, times when it's hard and challenging, and you're going to want to quit. Everybody wants to quit at some point. So like a workout, like a hard workout sounds great. And then you're in the middle of this thing. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest workout. I don't want to do this. But no, that's a season. And wherever you're at, step back, take time to review, reflect. Where are you now? Where are you going? How are you going to get there? That strategy and that awareness is what's going to inform good tactics, because we're all going to invest time in tactics, right? Doing things, but are we doing the right things? And do we understand what's at play to be able to make better decisions about those things to go do? And then lastly, clarity equals focus, and focus equals power. Don't try to do this all by yourself. I encourage you, whether you talk to our organization, you talk to someone else, you talk to a friend, you talk to other business owners, the more information you get, the better. Often, the biggest battle is in awareness and understanding really what's happening, and ask for help, be vulnerable. You don't have to have it all figured out. It's not about like who's the most self-sufficient. It's about who's ultimately getting to where they want to go. That's the win here, and get support. So I'll throw a link here on the chat. We do have very limited spots available. Our team is very, very busy. In fact, we just hired 5 people this last quarter. We're about to hire another several people because we do not have enough spots to keep up with supporting everybody right now at the pace we'd like to, but we have limited spots available. If you see a spot available, grab it, because it's like gold right now in our company. But I'll put the link in the chat. You can click on this. If you've liked what we talked about today, if you want to learn more, you can book a complimentary, we'll call it game plan session. There's nothing to buy. You just come in, we talk more about where you're at right now. We're going to ask you some questions. We're going to help you put a plan together for getting to where you want to go next year. Whether you work with us or not, this is a complimentary benefit to you as attending the workshop today. And we hope you use this to have more success in the future. And if you want more information separately about the products and services and programs we offer, we're happy to review that information with you if it's a good fit and if appropriate. But this is a free benefit for you to go get a game plan session and learn more. So I'll wrap up with that today. And as we finish up the conversation, yeah, please tell me, what is the thing you're walking away today with on the chat? What are you feeling? What are you leaving with more insights and reflection on today than when you came to the session 90 minutes ago? So what are you leaving with that you have a better understanding with, your biggest insight or takeaway from the conversation? Let me know in the chat. Love to celebrate some takeaways and some thoughts here in the room. And we'll wrap up in just a moment here. If you have a question, you can pop it on there too. Please let me know. Okay, Christine's posting a survey. Great, thank you, Christine. Please take a moment and give me your greatest insight or reflection on the chat from the time today. It really helps me for feedback as well of how I can continue to best support you, and what questions you have, what you'd like to learn more about. If I didn't get to a question that you wanted answered or you were uncomfortable asking, please book a game plan session and our team will go more specifically on driving down that question with you so we can help you. That is the goal. Okay, Michael, I'm my own worst enemy for not making the money out there. Well, Michael, that awareness is the first step, right, in the process. And so generally we're all our own worst enemies. That is the difficult pill to swallow, but when we accept that, then we can start to make decisions to get ourselves in a better position to take advantage of the opportunities. Emily, thank you. Taking time for reflection and building awareness. Yes. Okay, and taking time to think about an exit strategy. Yeah, most people don't have any plan for exit, and we're just trying to figure out a plan to grow. You know, you want to step back and say, well, what am I even doing here? And what does this look like when it's over? And what happens if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? You know, what happens to the business? So this is really important so you could leave the business in a good state, which I'm sure you would all like to do. Marcella, importance of building a team. Yes, that is the name of the game. This is a team sport. You don't have to do it all by yourself, nor should you. And generally, nor are you going to be very successful trying to do it all by yourself. So great insights. Okay, well, we are right on time. So we're going to wrap it up today. And Emily, I'll pass it back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sean. Wow, what an incredibly rich and valuable session. Let's all give Sean a big round of applause. You can virtual applause. There's a reaction button to the bottom. We can all give him a big hand. And thank you so much for being here, sharing all your expertise and your knowledge with us. I'm sure we're all going to be taking lots of great tips and strategies and have lots of food for thought and reflection going forward. So thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you today.
And just a quick reminder, everybody, don't forget to take a moment to help CanFit Pro prepare for future events by completing the short survey about your experience in this session. Christine, I believe, has dropped that link in the chat. So if you could take a couple of minutes to fill that out, we would really appreciate it. And don't forget to mark your calendars next year, August 16th to 20th, 2023. Come and join us in Toronto for the 30th anniversary celebration. This is, of course, our last event of 2022, but next year's ramping up for some really great stuff. So we hope to see you again and be part of that.
I will be there. So come say hi.
Amazing. Look forward to it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.